Let's go next to another marquee battle involving two possible playoff contenders. The LSU Tigers will travel to Death Valley and take on the Clemson Tigers. The Clemson Tigers are about a 4-point favorite. This game will be 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. We love that this game is involving two teams that call Death Valley home. This one will be played in the purple and orange section of Death Valley, not the gold and purple. This is going to be amazing because Clemson has been so good at home. They have won 31 of their last 33 non-conference games at home. And the last time these two programs met, it was in the national championship game following the 2020 season. So, or 2019 season, 2020 national championship game. So LSU capped off that perfect season with Joe Burrow and company with a 42-25 victory. This is a big clash in philosophies. Bigger picture here, you have Clemson on one side, LSU on the other side. Clemson and Dabo Swinney, they're all about continuity. They're all about culture. They're all about cohesiveness. They enter this season with the most returning production of anyone in the entire country. That's a testament to a program that's built on long-term development and a reluctance to heavily engage in the NCAA transfer portal. Now, Swinney kind of views his program as a 4-year developmental. We're going to recruit guys. We're going to grow them within our program, and we're going to send them out as developmental players that really are true to who we are. This develops a lot of loyalty. It develops a lot of continuity. And that is kind of the emphasis and the philosophy for Dabo Swinney and piecing together this roster. LSU on the other side, led by Brian Kelly, they're completely different. Now, they look every year at some of the deficiencies that they have on their roster. And Brian Kelly's been really aggressive in utilizing the transfer portal. He brought in 18 newcomers this past year. They were the number one portal team in the country this offseason. And it's going to be fascinating to see how those new pieces gel with some of the proven commodities from a year ago. One other storyline in this game is that Brian Kelly has struggled in week one games. Since arriving at LSU, he's winless in week one. The program is currently riding a 5-game losing streak in season openers dating back to 2019. And since 2022, LSU is just 4-8 against the spread against ranked opponents and has lost 3 consecutive week one games against non-conference foes. So we know what that's all about, right? Those are the two programs in a nutshell. Differing philosophies. We'll see what wins out. You have 2 Heisman caliber quarterbacks in this game. The quarterback matchup is as good as we'll find maybe in college football all season. Let's start with Cade Klubnik of the Clemson Tigers. The year-over-year growth from his first year as a starter to his second-year starter was amazing. This is now year 3. Amazing 2024 campaign. Threw for over 3,600 yards, 36 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions. He's a legitimate dual threat. He really improved in this asset last year. He can run it, had a couple real long runs, a couple big plays created like against Pitt, against NC State, went for over 460 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. He also is amazing when it comes to protecting the football. Makes great decisions and has a talented wide receiver core on the outside that he really trusts and has developed a great rapport with. On the other side, Garrett Nussmeier. Now, he's one of only 2 quarterbacks in LSU history that has gone over 4,000 passing yards in the season. The other is Joe Burrow. He had 29 touchdowns as well, but he is aggressive. He is a gunslinger, and that mentality kind of comes with a slightly higher risk. He had 12 picks last year, double the number of Klubnik, and posted an overall quarterback rating that was less than Cade Klubnik a year ago. Question number 1, can LSU's offensive line hold up against Clemson's defensive line? LSU's offensive line, that was a huge strength last year, but they were decimated by departures. They lost 4 starters of the NFL draft. Now, the unit has replaced a lot of experience with a lot of talent, but some of those guys are a little bit unproven. They also have a few transfers that they're relying on, so they don't have a lot of cohesion along the front. And Brian Kelly has even gone out to say, yeah, we could see as many as 6, maybe 7, maybe even 8 offensive linemen throughout the game. So it goes to show you that they're not really sure exactly what that offensive line is going to look like, and they might be willing to change from drive to drive. Clemson, on the other side, their defensive line is considered one of the best, if not the best, in the entire country. They're anchored by some preseason All-Americans, Peter Woods on the interior at defensive tackle, and TJ Parker off the edge. Parker had 11 sacks last year, and if you look at Woods, he now slides back to his more natural position. He had to play a lot of defensive end last year because he didn't have the depth. Now he's back at his natural position. I think he has a chance to really take over the game every single week. The other side of this is that Joe Sloan, his opening script, the offensive coordinator for LSU, it's got to be a lot of quick passes, a lot of screens, a lot of draw plays to get the ball out of Garrett Nussmeier's hands quickly to kind of neutralize that pass rush for the Clemson Tigers. Question number 2. How much better will LSU's defensive line be? Now, a lot of people have said this might be the most improved unit on the team. They've been rebuilt and fortified through the transfer portal. They've improved their depth. This depth allows them to roll fresh bodies regularly. A lot of people in camp have said they've noticed a serious difference with the pass rush getting home more frequently and faster than it has in the past. Now, Clemson's offensive line is a strength. They have a lot of pieces back. That was a group that was one of the best in the country and is currently one of the most experienced groups in the country as far as returning starts. Question number 3, can and will LSU run the football? If you look at Clemson's numbers last year, they really struggled against the run. It was shocking to see the numbers when you dive in a little bit. They were 16th in the ACC in rushing defense. They allowed more than 160 yards per game. However, LSU was dead last in the SEC last year running the football. They ran for just 116 yards per game. They got to find a way to run the ball effectively with Caden Durham, which would kind of protect the offensive line, would control the tempo, and would keep Clemson's offense on the sideline. If they can run it and keep them out of obvious third and long passing situations, that would kind of not allow Clemson's defensive line to tee off and allow those pass rushers to get home. So will LSU run the football? Because they did not try to run it enough last year. Question number 4. Which team can better manufacture big plays? Now, if you look at Clemson's receiving core, it's one of the nation's best. They have an incredible trio of Antonio Williams, who is probably their best overall player. You got TJ Moore, who's big, physical, strong, on the outside, and you have the speedster and Bryant Wesco. Those guys create a lot of problems for the opposing secondary. LSU is going to counter with their own really talented group of pass catchers led by slot receiver Aaron Anderson and Barryon Brown, who's coming over from Kentucky, is really good with the ball in his hands, also will be pivotal in the return game. Those guys will get a lot of looks for the LSU Tigers quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. A pivotal matchup will be how LSU's secondary, which has been bolstered by transfers and supposedly is playing with a lot of confidence this offseason, how will they handle the challenge of matching up against Moore, Wesco, and Antonio Williams, a trio that doesn't take a backseat to many in college football. Question number 5, how important is Adam Randall going to be in this game? Probably wondering, who's Adam Randall? Well, he was a wide receiver for a number of years. He has since moved to the running back spot because there's not great depth right now at running back for the Clemson Tigers. He's 6'2", he's 235 pounds. He's going to be a bit of a power back. So how will that be handled? Will he roll some with Gideon Davidson, the talented true freshman, who has drawn some early comparisons to the former Clemson star, Travis Etienne? If the converted receiver proves to be effective running between the tackles and constantly generate positive yards on the ground, that will force LSU's defense to really respect the run, which would open up the playbook for Garrett Riley, which would mean play action passing and downfield passing could open up for Clemson. And then finally, question number 6, can Clemson force a big mistake from Garrett Nussmeier? When the game has gotten tight, Nussmeier has at times tried to do a little too much. There's been times when he's been masterful, like he was against Ole Miss down the stretch. There's also been times when he's tried to do a little too much, like he did against A&M last year. If he makes a big mistake, that could be huge in this game. I'm taking the Clemson Tigers to win this game. I think their advantage with their defensive line against an inexperienced offensive line gives them a pretty significant edge in what should be one of the biggest games of the season here early on.